Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the video. So the stock market got big volatility this week after the market broke down from the 2-week long range that we went over in last week's video. In this one, we're going to be going over what to expect next, including the key upside and downside trigger points for the broad market, as well as the top trade ideas for the week and weeks ahead. As always, there are timestamps in the description. Let's go ahead and get into it. So starting out by taking a look at the S&P futures chart, this week started out with a large gap up due to the contract roll from December to March. The level still respected well though, and we finally got the big volatility and multi-week range breakdown on Wednesday after Powell spooked the market on Wednesday afternoon at the FOMC presser. This broke below the key levels at 61.02 and then 60.35 to 60.40, which was the bottom of the previous multi-week range that we went over last week to watch as the breakdown trigger if it was broken. The breakdown followed through strongly from there, all the way down to the 5900 to 5914 key zone, which held for an initial relief bounce. This bounce found resistance at 5985 to 5994 after a slight failed move above it, and then it had one more washout move on Friday morning down to 5866 before finding strong support there and rallying. And on that rally, it is no coincidence where it found resistance, which was at 60.35 to 60.40, the bottom of the previous 2.5 week long range. There's quite a bit to unpack here, but two main scenarios to consider are: number one, this is just a washout move to punish late buyers who chase the heavily extended stocks, and after this washout, the rally will continue. Or number two, this is the early stage of a larger correction or pullback. We can look at early 2022/late 2021 as an example of this, where the market had washout moves similar to this before the real start of the downtrend played out. And when tops form, they're very tricky to trade, of course, with a lot of fake outs in both directions. So my opinion is, for the time being, this should be treated as a washout move, with a larger rally more likely than any type of top, but this is certainly a warning sign to take note of. So into next week, the key pivots to watch on the downside are at 59.85 to 59.94 and 59.50 to 59.60. Both of these zones acted as key upside triggers on Friday, and the 50-day moving average is also right at 59.60. As long as above these zones, I would consider buyers back in short-term control of the trend, but if it breaks below 59.50 to 59.60, it would be a big caution sign to put downside back in play, back towards lows. On the upside, 60.35 to 60.40 is the major resistance to watch, and buyers need to break and hold above there for further upside, and above there can target 60.60 to 60.75, and then the top of the previous range at 61.02 next above. We could see some big volatility into the end of the year, especially with lower volume holiday trading, so definitely be prepared for any scenario. Alright, so now getting to the top trade ideas to watch in the week ahead, and these are still focused on playing the upside, so if the indexes break down once again like we went over those trigger points for the S&P, then I would have more caution on these and would be less likely to play out. So starting out with C Limited, ticker symbol SE, the stock broke out above its more than 2-year-long base in October, above 92.75, and has followed through nicely since. These type of setups that break out of multi-year consolidation bases can go on to have some pretty massive moves, and C may be setting up for that next leg higher. So during last week's pullback, the stock broke below its tight 4-week long range below 111.75, though it found support at the next level down and just above the 50-day moving average at 107.75, and is now backtesting the bottom of the previous range as new resistance. If it is able to successfully reclaim and hold above it, this is a mini false breakdown setup and can target a move back to the top of the range at 117.8, which a break and hold above there triggers the breakout and next leg higher for the stock. A successful break above there can then target the next levels up, which would be at 125, 135.2, and then 148.59 to 150. Shift 4, ticker symbol FOUR, is another stock that I'm keeping on very close watch in the week ahead. So a few weeks ago, the stock had a large drop after news of the CEO being picked to head NASA, aka pretty much having to leave the company. The stock sold down to 99.2 and the 50-day moving average, which is held as strong support so far, and it also built out a tight consolidation between there and previous highs at 104.11 to 105.75. This is a very tight 2.5 week long consolidation and can set up for a strong directional move once it does break. So for upside, watch for a successful break and hold above 104.11 to 105.75, which can target a move back towards 110 to 111, and then all-time highs above there at 116.84. New Holdings, ticker symbol NU, is another stock that I'm keeping on close watch once again. So last week we talked about this one as looking primed for a directional move due to the very tight consolidation it had built out between 11.5 support and 12.24 resistance. I mentioned that I was only interested in trading it if it broke to the upside, but it was potential short trade if it broke to the downside. So I obviously missed this move personally, but props to any who were able to catch the breakdown. So after that breakdown, it followed through down to the next key support at 10 to 10.2, which is held so far on 3 different tests. This is pretty much a must-hold spot for the stock in order to keep the long-term uptrend intact. If we take a look at the weekly chart, we can see that it has consistently made higher lows, and the previous low was at 9.65, so anything below that would no longer be a long-term uptrend. So it's likely for at least a relief bounce here, and ideally sees no lower than 10 to 10.2. If it is able to follow through higher from here, it can target a move back to this small resistance zone at 11 to 11.2, and then 11.5 would be the major backtest point and potential large upside trigger on a successful reclaim above. So this setup can be tradable for a larger balance, and to keep risk tight, you can play with a tight stop loss either below 10.2 or 10 for only about 2% or 4% respective risk on the trade, with potential for a large upside reversal if it is able to hold this area for another large time frame high or low. And one more that I'm keeping on close watch is block, ticker symbol SQ. This is a similar setup as we went over with C Limited, though more early stage, as it broke out of its multi-year base and is now backtesting that breakout point as new support at 87.5. So this is a must-hold spot for buyers to keep the breakout intact and direct upside in play, and it could be playable as a long trade with a tight stop loss below Friday's low at about 86. If this backtest successfully holds and follows through back to the upside, it can target a move back to 91.1 to 93.2 next, and then $100 per share above there, which is also a major psychological level and just above that recent swing high, so that can act as a larger breakout trigger and next leg higher for the stock above there. So that is everything that I'm watching for in the week ahead. For the time being, I'd still have trades focused on the upside until proven otherwise, but of course there's potential for a lot more volatility, so be prepared for any scenario. Thank you guys for watching, and for anybody interested in joining the private Discord chat, that is the first link down in the description to get my personal trade alerts, nightly watch lists, and I answer any questions you guys have in there. I'll catch you all next time. Good luck trading the week ahead, and peace out.